Hello, welcome back to the channel. Thank you as always for tuning in. I hope everyone's doing okay. So last week I got an album, got hold of an album, and I had just a massive stroke of good luck. I really did. I couldn't believe what I picked up and for the price I got it for. So I felt like I wanted to share it, and I was just going to do a video on that video alone, but then I thought that's a bit lame. So I thought I would make a list of all the best bargains that I've bought over the years, and do a video showing them off. And what I'll do, the album that I picked up last week, I will show, and I'm going to keep this one till the end. So do stay tuned. So yeah, without further ado, let's go through all these albums. So I'm going to show them off, what they are, and I'm just going to give a little story behind how I got them and how much I paid for them. So first of all, I'm going to show you the ones I got from charity shops and car boots. I will say all of these albums, I mean, over the years, I've had some good deals. I've got things that I'm like, oh, that's a bargains, but these ones I consider like ridiculous bargains and just, actual so low that they've been mispriced or a mistake's been done, as you will see. So right, so first off, we've got this. So nothing. This is not anything terribly obscure, is it? It's the Yes album, third album by Yes. Fantastic record. So a good few years ago, I was in the next city, Southampton. And I'd been to the record fair because I've been going there quite a few years. And I popped into the Oxfam shop in the High Street. Now, that Oxfam shop, it does come up, it does deliver the goods sometimes. It's been mentioned recently by a couple of other VC channels, some notable Southampton residents who have had sort of good scores there and do, they also kind of sing its praises. But yeah, I totally agree. But this, when I went in, bear in mind this Oxfam shop, it has racks on the wall where it sells its kind of rarities and collectibles. It might have a few things behind the counter where the kind of, the more expensive stuff is. And then it'll have just a regular, I say regular rack of cheaper, more regular records. And in the rack was this. It was £2.99, so we'll say £3. And I had a quick look and I'm like, oh, that's in nice condition. I've already got a copy, a reissue of this album, the Yes album. I had it for years, but I had a look and I'm like, well, obviously it's not going to be a first pressing, is it? It's not going to be the one with the plum and orange label, is it? I'll have a look, but it won't be, will it? Of course it is. Look at that, £3. And what makes this so good is that the record may well be unplayed. I couldn't believe it, and I don't know who's put it in the racks for £3 because it is worth. It's not worth an absolute fortune, and it's not massively rare. Don't get me wrong, but it's worth an awful lot more than £3. So and as that Oxfam shop usually knows what they've got, I reckon someone there made a grave error. Brilliant deal, wonderful. And let me tell you, I love this album. Yes, they on this third album, it's before they got a bit on the pretentious side. They sound so fresh, really original. It's just a fantastic record. And the reissue I had was the first ever Yes album that I bought. So I really do love this record. It is fantastic. But if you can get hold of this UK first pressing on the plum and orange label, it sounds absolutely fantastic. I have commented recently on the fact that Yes and a good few other artists have had their albums heavily remixed. And my argument is the albums don't need remixing. No one was listening to this when it came out through the 80s, through the 90s, through the noughties and going, yeah, that's a good album. Do with a remix, couldn't it? No. It sounds absolutely fantastic, and even a sort of a 70s reissue will sound good. But these first pressings are the way to hear it. It is high fidelity, brilliantly produced. Does not need remixing. Sorry if that's controversial, but that's the way I feel, and it's well worth picking up if you can find one. So yeah, absolutely stoked to get that for just £3, next to nothing, isn't it? Okay, oh yes, so another charity shop. Now these two by the same band, these were in a charity shop, hometown Portsmouth, just about 10 minutes from my house. So I just happened to be in the area, popped into a charity shop which I often go in, flicking through the records which never yield anything, and yeah, we got, and again, £3. I don't know why it's always £3, but we got this and this. So it's My Bloody Valentine. This is the pick of the two, really. This is their album, Isn't Anything. Now, when I stumbled on this one, I didn't really know how much it was worth, and I knew of the band My Bloody Valentine, but I didn't really know kind of too much about them. So I picked it up straight away. I mean, I took this home and yeah, fell in love with this. This is absolutely beautiful. This is just very unique record, and I haven't played it for a while. I'm gonna have to spin it again this weekend, I think. What's great about it? I mean, they call them, they're classed as a shoegaze band, and I suppose it is. There's so many kind of effects pedals. There's sounds coming out of their guitars that don't sound like guitars. They don't sound like any other instrument, or you have to kind of remind yourself that what you're listening to on some of these tracks are made by guitars, because it sounds like something from another planet. It's remarkable the way they do it. They're not just kind of playing their guitars and adding a load of fuzz to it. They are creating effects that are just out of this world, really. Goodness knows how they did it. So, yeah, original on creation. Sadly, doesn't have the 7-inch. I've learned that if you have the 7-inch, it's worth even more. But this is still absolutely fine and is wonderful. And then we have this album called Ecstasy and Wine, which is a compilation of 2 early EPs. Now, it is an official release, but as I understand, as I've read, I don't think the band allowed it, and they weren't happy about it that it was released. This to me, yeah, it's not quite. It's all right. It's not quite as good as Isn't Anything. It's just a little, it is a bit more sort of just standard sort of fuzz box guitar sound. But yeah, good listen, and £3 again. I can't complain. My only regret about it is they didn't have Loveless there. I'm still missing an original copy of Loveless, and I will not pay Discogs prices for them. I know I'm going to have to pay a bit if I want one, but I'm hoping to find one in the wild that's not ridiculously expensive, because on Discogs there are tons of copies. It's not really that rare, but people that seem to be charging the earth even for copies that are not in great condition. So I'm just being patient on that. It will happen. It will happen. Right, another charity shop one. Now, I consider this is the best bargain I've ever picked up. This I couldn't believe, and it was a blind buy. I didn't know what the album was when I picked it up. Okay, so here we go. This is Large as Life and Twice as Natural by Davy Graham, who is a folk guitarist and vocalist. So I was in a different charity shop in Portsmouth, and flicking through their records, and there was a few odd bits and bobs in there that I picked up. There was a couple of Bob Dylan records from memory. I think there's one by John Renbourn, which was quite a good bio as well. But among them, there was this. Now I'd heard the name Davy Graham. I'd sort of heard about him. I think I heard about him on a folk documentary that I'd seen recently. This was a few years back when I got this. And everyone on there, even the sort of folkies from the sort of late '60s Fairport Convention, John Martin, people like that, all cite him as the daddy, the sort of original. So I saw this and I was like, oh, it's on Decca. It's an unboxed Decca label. The cover's very good. Looks a bit sort of psychedelic, and it was guess what, £3. So I was like, I'll pick it up. Yeah, let's grab it. Got it home, looked it up, didn't have a smartphone back then, and I was like, oh my, yes, that's worth quite a bit more. And it's a decent record. It's obviously it's a folk record, but being from 1968, it's branching into sort of psychedelia. There are a few sort of raga-like moments on it. So he's definitely sort of changing with the times. It's not all kind of traditional stuff, and it's very, very decent. I do see this at record fairs from time to time, and it's always on the display racks, which means it's yeah, the price is normally being charged into three figures. So I cannot believe I got this for £3 and could have passed it up. Not knowing what it was, I might not have got it. So absolutely fantastic. Finally, this is the final. This is a car boot find. I have shown this one before. Depeche Mode, Violator. One of my favourite albums. I would say if I was to push top 10 albums of all time, this would go in. This is fantastic. My only issue with this album is it leaves every other Depeche Mode album far behind. I do like Depeche Mode. They're consistently good. The albums that I've got, there's no bad ones, but this just shines brighter than all the others. So there we go. So I was at a car boot fair, and this wasn't some kind of random box that you hear about of, amongst the Mantovani and James Last and things like that. This was actually a record dealer. He's a proper dealer. He may as well just be selling at fairs. And this dealer, prices are okay, but he won't haggle at all. He will not move on his prices, even if I make a reasonable offer. He never moves on his prices. But sometimes he has records in there that just aren't priced, and this one was sitting there, and I said, "Oh, how much?" £5, he said. I said, "Right, there we are." Yeah, snatched, took his arm off. £5 for this. I don't think I've ever seen an original in the wild of this one. It's a rare one. It is sought after. Again, you look on Discogs, it's pricey. It's not worth ridiculous sums, but yeah, for £5 at a car boot from someone who apparently knows what they're doing. Yeah, that was a very, very, very nice surprise. Very nice surprise. Okay, so this next one comes from a record fair, from the London Record Fair. This is back when they used to do it at Olympia, the one I used to go to in November. So everything at Olympia, there's some good deals to be had there. I've been going to that fair for years, and if there weren't good deals to have, I wouldn't go. But everything's priced accordingly, a bit like most record fairs. You will get bargains, but you're never going to get anything silly cheap. However, there's an exception here, because I was just wandering, looking through, and I saw this stall, and it had a random box on the floor, one of the ones where you've got to get down on your knees and dig. And it was just really unspecified, nothing much good in there. But amongst everything, he had this. This is Expansions on Life by the Elastic Band on Decca Nova. Lovely turquoise labels. Asking price for this, I knew how much this was worth. I think I've seen this on a wall for £80 in a different shop, so I knew of it. Asking price £10, and I was like, oh God, this is going to be knackered, isn't it? This record is going to be borderline unplayable, isn't it? And no, it wasn't. It's Fiji. It's not perfect. There's a few little scuffs on it, but £10. I remember sort of thinking, I'm going to get it home, and it's just not. It's going to sound horrible, and it just didn't. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. So I don't quite know what was going on there, especially at a record fair like that. £10 for this, it's worth a lot more. Really is, Yeah. Sometimes it's best not to question it. Not a bad record. It's okay. Yeah, it's quite good. Nothing to set the world on fire. There are some amazing things from this era, from the psychedelic era. This one is, I would say, fairly good. Some nice vocal harmonies on it. Some decent tracks. It's one of those albums I think they sort of don't really know what direction to take. It's got a feature member, maybe one or two feature members of the Suite in it on the back there. So yeah, if you see it, well worth picking up if you see it for a decent price. Whether you'll find one for £10, I doubt it. That was a complete one-off. And now we move on to the online purchases. It happens online as well. Yeah, I've had some really amazing online deals. And the main one I've had last week was indeed online. So these were get my words out, sorry. The two that I'm about to show were eBay bids. And years ago, when I started using eBay, I don't use it that much anymore for record buying. I do occasionally. but not as much. You know, I went through a bit of a phase about sort of 15 odd years ago of getting loads on eBay, and I got some good things. But there was a time where the seller on eBay, if they wanted, could decline to use PayPal, which I don't think eBay allow now. You are bound by PayPal. They are kind of owned by PayPal or the other way around. And this seller would only accept checks, which even back then is old-fashioned. I mean, checks now, I almost can't believe they still exist. But yeah, this seller listed this record, only accepted checks and wouldn't post outside the UK. Starting bid $9.99. Consequently, no one bid apart from me. So mine for $9.99. This is a rare album. This is all will be changed by Frumpy. Now, this is a UK press, and it's on Philips. German band. Really nice condition. This is incredibly rare, actually, to be honest with you. I mean, copies in Germany have like a gimmick sleeve, and they are scarce. They're collectible. They're quite expensive. But the UK pressing, I've never seen it. Never, ever seen it anywhere else. There are a couple on Discogs, but there's only about, I mean, currently there's only about 2 for sale, which to me, if there's only two of a record for sale, makes it a real rarity. It never turns up as a UK pressing. It really doesn't. I mean, it must have sold minuscule amounts. But £10, that was mine. Couldn't believe it. Yeah, one of my best bargains ever. And honestly, I think that this must be one of the rarest things I own. You know, any album that I've never seen another copy of, yeah, I class that as a rarity. It's all about, you know, how many you see out there, isn't it? And the same circumstances again on this record. Seller, check only, would not post outside the UK. So I think it's the same time. Starting bid, £3. No one else bid. It's original, 13 by Blur, original, £3. What a dreadful mistake to make. Not accepting PayPal. There's just no audience for it, but I was willing to take the risk. And yeah, big risks, big rewards, as they say. So this is an original. It's the only original Blur album I own, actually. Everything else, I used to own several Blur originals, but because they're all pressed on a single disc and mastered terribly, they sounded awful. So I did actually replace them for reissues, which is not something I generally do. But the earlier Blur records, you know, 1 hour, even more on one disc, they sounded lousy. But this one is a double album. Fortunately, they saw the error of their ways, and this is great. And it's a great album by Blur. They became much more experimental. It sounds like they were sort of really getting influenced by Krautrock on this one. So I'm glad they changed from what they did. You know, of course, they were sort of, you know, one of the godfathers of Britpop, if you want to call them that. But they developed and they continued releasing great albums. They really did. This is probably the last great one, really. I think Graham Coxon left for a bit after this. I haven't sort of checked much out afterwards, but yeah, very, very good indeed. And finally, we have the one that I bought last week. And yeah, I was stoked, absolutely stoked and puzzled by this. So let's show the album first. This is a lovely, rare album, Prog-Rock record. And it's self-titled One and Done by Titus Groan. Okay, it's on the Dawn label. Okay, now I actually think this might be a second pressing because I've discovered there's 2 cover variants, and this, they had a kind of dodgy band shot on the back here on earlier ones, and I think they replaced it with this. So technically this is a second pressing, but it's no less valuable and it's still very rare, but bloody blah. Yeah. Anyway, I was looking on Discogs, just at various things, just having a flick through. I was mainly kind of looking at the value of things. I just like to see what's out there, see what the market's doing, see what's going on. That's what we do, isn't it? Anyway, I found this listed, this very copy, and it was pricey, but reasonable. And I was like, umming and ahhing over it, spent several hours umming and ahhing. It was listed as sleeve VG plus disc VG. So I'm like, I might be interested because it was still, it was below the average price, which is pretty high. So I decided to message the seller. I kind of said to them, right, there's no description on it. What's the disc like? What's the cover like? Can you send me some photos? Here's my email address. Anyway, I didn't think anything more about it. 20 minutes later, my phone pings and they responded. And they said, oh, I'm ever so sorry. They didn't say the ooh bit. They said, I'm very sorry. We've misgraded this one. I was meant to update the grading and the description because we sold it recently and the seller wasn't happy because there's a couple of very small scratches on it, and he returned it and we gave money back. So there's a couple of small scratches. I was like, oh, okay, all right. Oh, I won't bother with that then. Anyway, I'm doing this on my phone. Anyway, it refreshed. And all of a sudden, they have updated. They've updated the price. They've slashed the price majorly to £20. Put the description on as having 2 small minor scratches. Graded the disc as fair, and kept the sleeve at VG plus. Immediately, I go into this blind panic on my phone of buy. £20. I'm like, this sounds too good to be true. Got it. Paid it, secured it. And I was just thinking, I'm not going to send it. This is all going to go wrong. Anyway, it got marked as shipped. Record turns up 3 days later. And I'm like, this is not going to be good. Anyway, I pulled the cover out. As you can see, the cover is very nice indeed. Tiny bit of wear. Very, very good. A VG plus. Maybe you could even grade it as excellent. Took the disc out. I was like, how bad is this going to be? And all there was, the disc is barely played, there's barely a spindle trace, and on side B there is a little bit of minor scuffing, that's all, surface scuffing, and it has caused, you can see there's something's been dropped on it, or maybe it's been dropped and caught against something, and it's caused some just minor marks, but it's really nothing bad at all. As I say, the disc is unplayed. Played it, and there are a couple of pops on side 2. That's it. At the end of one track, that two or three minor little clicks. The rest of it, immaculate, perfect. If it wasn't for the scuff, it'd be mint. It would be a mint copy. I can't believe they've graded that as fair. That is not fair. I don't mean to say it is that. It's not fair. Fair, I'm sure, as you all well know, means borderline unplayable. If you get a disc that's graded as fair, it is a cheap collection filler of something really rare. This, I would say, it was a VG. Yeah, easily passed for a good VG, and yeah, it's worth more than £20. But I just can't. And again, I looked at the seller's other item. They know what they've got. They know what they're doing. They seem to be grading and pricing correctly. But I just don't know why they slashed the price to £20. When these go easily into 3 figures, easily, it's really strange, but it's my game. Yeah, I was absolutely stoked. And this is a good album. Prog band, lots of saxophone, good playing. I think it maybe it lacks a little bit of direction. I think that the tracks are quite varied. They almost don't know what they're trying to achieve, but the tracks are very, very good. There's a long track on here called Hall of Bright Carvings, and the vocal harmonies on it are wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And yeah, it's a decent enough copy. As I say, the disc isn't perfect, but it plays almost perfect, and it's good enough for me for £20. That's absolutely wonderful. Really, really good. It does happen now and again. I know it happens to everyone because I've seen people mention their bargains on these videos. So they're out there to be had. So yeah, that's all from me. I just felt like sharing that one with you. So I thought, yeah, I'll turn it into a full video. So Please let me know in the comments any bargains you've had, what you've paid for them, any good luck you've had in the past. Yeah, very much like to hear from you. Thank you all, as always, for the views and the subs. It really means a lot. The channel is still growing, still doing good. There's more videos to come, so please stay tuned. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all again in a future video. See you later.